The Four Foundations of Mindfulness, of the Holy Concentration without Outflows, and the Four Holy Jhanas of Dwelling in Present Bliss. Because they cannot abandon the worldly life, most Buddhist monks and nuns worldwide cannot enter the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, of the Holy Concentration without Outflows, and the Four Holy Jhanas of Dwelling in Present Bliss. They only revolve around theoretical and speculative interpretations of the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, using names such as Vipassana, the heart of meditation, the Four Domains of Mindfulness, and so on. The Four Foundations of Mindfulness of the Holy Concentration without Outflows is an authentic Buddhist meditation. Practitioners who diligently cultivate it will sweep away all outflows, leading the human mind to abandon desires and evil phenomena. This results in complete liberation, putting a definitive end to the cycle of rebirth. However, you must not follow the speculative interpretations of scholars, which will lead your practice nowhere. They argue in all sorts of ways, but ultimately they only suppress the mind and cannot overcome greed and sorrow at all. If you want to practice this meditation but refuse to abandon the condition of birth, how can you succeed? The same applies to the Four Holy Jhanas of Dwelling in Present Bliss. If you do not sever the condition of birth, you should not even attempt to practice it. Even if you try, you will achieve nothing. You will only disrupt your nervous system due to mind suppression. It brings no benefit, only the perilous risk of mental breakdown and madness. Since the Buddha and the holy monks entered Nibbana, gradually no one has been able to practice and enter the Four Foundations of Mindfulness of the Holy Concentration without Outflows, and the Four Holy Jhanas of Dwelling in Present Bliss. Therefore, these two types of meditation are considered to have lost their roots, and no one knows the correct method of practice anymore. Looking at the lives of Buddhist monks and nuns today, the majority live for fame and wealth. They eat and sleep at improper times. Their style of dress and way of living resemble feudal kings and lords, and their pagodas are built as massive, magnificent palaces. Seeing this lifestyle confirms that their minds are still full of outflows. They crave high-quality, luxurious, and beautiful things, and they care deeply about fame. Because of this, not a single one of them can enter the Four Holy Jhanas of Dwelling in Present Bliss. These remain merely empty words in the original scriptures. No one has any direct experience in practicing them. Most Mahayana Buddhist monks residing around the world today consider the Four Holy Jhanas of Dwelling in Present Bliss to be heretical meditation, ordinary meditation, or Hinayana and Dhyana meditation. From the perspective of Mahayana Buddhism today, they regard the Four Holy Jhanas of Dwelling in Present Bliss as the heretical meditation of other religions. So, let us examine which religion actually possesses these four types of meditation. 1. Yoga. 2. Islam. 3. Brahmanism. 4. Hinduism. 5. Catholicism. 6. Protestantism. 7. Eastern Zen. 8. Caodaism. 9. Hoahaoism. 10. Busan Qi Huang. 11. Taoism. 12. Zhuangzi. 13. Mozi. 14. Confucianism. 15. Lamaism. 16. Qigong. 17. Neigong. 18. Bioenergy. 19. Science. 20. the 6 heretical masters, and so on. During the time of the Buddha, the sutras only recorded 62 heretical theories, but there was no mention of the 4 holy jhanas. Examining thoroughly from the past to the present, the scriptures of all existing religions in this world contain no teachings on the 4 holy jhanas of dwelling in present bliss. Only the original Buddhist scriptures teach it. However, upon close examination, before the Buddha, this type of meditation also existed, but it was the heretical form of 4 mind-suppressing meditations. That is why, when the Buddha was a young boy, he sat under the rose apple tree, directing his mind to abandon desire and evil phenomena. At present, among most Buddhist monks, nuns, and heretics, no one can enter the 4 holy jhanas. Scholars past and present who study this meditation cannot develop its practical methods. They only rely on a few existing terms in the scriptures, teaching vaguely and unclearly, like someone walking in the dark without a lamp or torch. Above all, they deliberately avoid it, skip over it, and do not dare to touch it. Why do we know that no one can enter this meditation? 1. All the currently circulating scriptures that teach meditation do not teach the practice of these concentrations. 2. Very few ancient scriptures mention these 4 types of meditation. Even when they are mentioned, as in the original Buddhist scriptures, scholars do not practice or enter them. Thus, they only speak of them superficially, based on imagination, lacking direct experience and specific practical methods. 3. Throughout the world, there is no news of anyone who can enter this meditation. 4. Throughout the world, no one has heard of anyone entering the 4th jhana, completely ceasing their breath from 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months up to 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years without eating or drinking, yet not dying. 5. To enter these concentrations, the breath and all bodily formations must completely cease. 6. After finishing the concentration spanning from 1, 2, or 3 months up to 1, 2, or 3 years, upon emerging from the concentration, the person recovers their normal life. These are types of meditation that are exceptionally rare in this world, and much harder to practice than other types. Anyone who refuses to rack their brains to study the 4 holy jhanas, but instead relies on the claim that this is heretical meditation, is merely a follower of others with no wisdom. Through our collection and research of many types of scriptures, we firmly confirm that only Buddhism possesses the 4 holy jhanas of dwelling in present bliss, and the 4 foundations of mindfulness of the holy concentration without outflows. The original scriptures have taught them very thoroughly, from the smallest and easiest methods to practice for immediate results, to the most difficult methods of completely ceasing the breath to master life and death. Renouncing fame and wealth in religion. Once wearing the bhikkhu robe, we have accepted that the ordained life cannot be like the lay life. We must completely eradicate the mind of attachment, stay far away, distance ourselves, and reject the mind of fame and wealth of the worldly life. Not only must we eradicate the mind of fame and wealth in the world, but we must also eradicate the mind of fame and wealth in religion. Fame and wealth taking the form of religion is still truly the human mind of fame and wealth. You monks must be vigilant and on guard. Do not forget that your own deceitful mind will deceive you, making you think you are free from fame and wealth, making you think you are practicing correctly. You are mistaken. It commands you like a slave to do whatever it wants. It only needs to cover your eyes with noble terms like saving living beings, benefiting the Buddha Dhamma. And then you feel at peace, thinking you are doing it for the Buddha Dhamma, for living beings. You monks should remember carefully. When you first entered the temple to become ordained, you were just a novice, a samanera, with no fame or wealth at all. You just ate, studied the doctrine, and performed daily worship and chanting. After 5 or 10 years of being a preaching monk, or an abbot of this temple or that temple, fame and wealth now blind your eyes. All day long you do one Buddhist affair after another. Using the term Buddhist affairs sounds noble, but in reality, you are practicing a religious profession to seek fame and scheme for your own personal wealth. You monks have forgotten. You are the ones who abandoned fame and wealth, abandoned all worldly affections to practice and find the path of liberation. Yet now, you chase after fame and wealth using different noble terms. Buddhist affairs, the Tathagata envoy, practicing the bodhisattva conduct, walking the bodhisattva path. Anyone hearing these terms must deeply respect and bow down to the ground. Do you ever reflect on yourselves? Do you find yourselves laughable? Every day you go out preaching, teaching people to practice this and that, yet you cannot practice the very things you preach. You are lying. Do you realize that? Your teachings are incredibly wonderful, with meanings so profound that people think you are living Buddhas. But looking closely at your lifestyle, people cannot help but be surprised. You teach one thing, but your life goes in a completely different direction. When you first started practicing, you were completely destitute. By the time you become abbots, preaching monks, or Zen masters, you start becoming rich. Temples are gradually built to be massive and colossal. There is not a single worldly material thing you lack. When you first started practicing, you rode an old, worn-out bicycle. After a while, you have a Honda motorbike, then a dream motorbike. The longer you practice, the richer you become, even owning top-tier cars. Whatever worldly people have, you have it too. In the worldly life, people find it very difficult to seek fame and wealth. For you monks in religion, seeking fame and wealth is extremely easy. In the worldly life, people work laboriously and suffer greatly to earn their food and clothing. In religion, you sit idle, eat without working, study and play without lifting a finger. Your clothes are luxurious and beautiful. Your cakes, fruits, and food are more than you can consume. Therefore, those who become ordained in Buddhism today are not seeking liberation, but are only aiming for fame and wealth. The developed Buddhist methods you monks are currently practicing are methods that teach the cultivation of fame and wealth. How do we know this? Seeing your lifestyle makes it crystal clear. As for the methods teaching the practice of liberation, you have thrown them aside and pay no attention to them anymore. It is not that you do not know them, but because living those methods means having no worldly, sensual pleasures. These methods teach letting go, abandoning fame, abandoning wealth. The life of a monk has nothing, with few desires and contentment, strict self-discipline, living with 3 robes and 1 alms bowl. Only a life of liberation like that truly belongs to a Buddhist monk. Wanting liberation according to the meaning of Buddhism, but refusing to throw away the worldly life, means there is absolutely no meaning of Buddhist liberation left. A Buddhist monk who wants to demonstrate saving people through the practice of liberation must demonstrate a life of liberation, which means abandoning desires and evil phenomena, abandoning material wealth, properties, money, and worldly jewels. He must leave behind large temples and towering stupas, leave behind fame, leave behind wealth, leave behind female beauty, leave behind eating well and dressing beautifully, and so on. If one can live a detached life like that, it serves as a shining example to guide others in practice. The spoken words and the preaching of the Buddhist scriptures and doctrines must perfectly match one's lifestyle without the slightest deviation. If one lives the exact opposite, then the preaching of the scriptures does not align with one's life. That is deceiving and tricking others, living in luxury on the sweat and tears of others. It is truly despicable and contemptible. Not only failing to save people toward liberation, but also tarnishing Buddhism, causing the Buddha Dhamma to decline and the true Dhamma to sink into oblivion. Wise and understanding people looking at Buddhism will feel disdain and doubt. You monks, you cannot turn a blind eye, a deaf ear, and ignore your duties and heavy responsibilities toward Buddhism. You have studied and researched the Buddhist scriptures, thoroughly understood the essence of the religion and the life of the religion. Why then do you live and practice incorrectly according to the Buddha's teachings? That is a massive error for which you must bear responsibility before Buddhism and its followers. If it were not for the Agama and Nikaya scripture collections, how could anyone know what Buddhism is anymore, or know what the true path of Buddhist practice is? To illuminate Buddhism, to save yourselves from the worldly life of sinking suffering and the cycle of birth and death, there is no other way than for you monks to return to the true practice path of Buddhism, which these two scripture collections have taught very clearly. You monks must abandon fame and wealth in religion, just as the Buddha taught. Where there is fame and wealth, one should stay away. Break free from the iron chains of religious fame and wealth. Choose the holy life of a true Buddhist monk, and then, without needing to do anything, Buddhism will shine brilliantly and gloriously. That exemplary life of abandoning desires and evil phenomena will help you monks enter the concentrations to master life and death, putting an end to the cycle of rebirth. It will also help everyone know how to let go, stop evil deeds, and increase wholesome deeds, bringing happiness and peace to yourselves, to others, and to society. Living a silent life. The life of a Buddhist monk must be silent, solitary, secluded, and sparing in speech. Most importantly, one must keep their mind in a state of silence and immobility. The mind must not be agitated, restlessly thinking, worrying, pondering, fearing, getting angry, feeling sad, or anxiously calculating. In the Bhattacharata Sutta, how did the Buddha teach us to practice in order to live the silent life of a monk? Venerable Ananda recalled the instructional words of the Bhattacharata Sutta, which he practiced during a sleepless night. The next morning, he used his supernormal powers to pass through the stone door into the Satapani cave to compile the scriptures along with 500 other arahants. Here is the verse. A single excellent night. Let not a person revive the past, or on the future build his hopes. For the past has been left behind, and the future has not been reached. Instead, with insight let him see each presently arisen state. Let him know that, and be sure of it, invincibly, unshakably. Today the effort must be made. Tomorrow death may come, who knows? No bargain with mortality can keep him and his hordes away. But one who dwells thus ardently, relentlessly, by day, by night, it is he, the peaceful sage has said, who has had a single excellent night. As a Buddhist monk, one must always keep their mind from thinking about random nonsense, from worrying, regretting, or feeling sad about things that have passed, and from feeling angry, hateful, or dissatisfied with things in the present. Because thinking about past events brings no benefit. On the contrary, it only causes sorrow and suffering. Due to sorrow and suffering, our mind cannot be peaceful and joyful. Therefore, the Buddha taught that if we want liberation and a peaceful, joyful soul, we must not remember, worry, or think about things that have already happened. Remembering, worrying, and thinking about the past makes the mind restless and brings no benefit at all. Buddhism teaches that we must completely sever thoughts about the past, because the past is already gone. Worrying and grieving cannot solve anything. They only make our mind suffer more, become darker, and lose clarity regarding present matters. Therefore, we should use these 2 lines of the verse as a directing method to remind our mind to stay away from the past. Let not a person revive the past, for the past has been left behind. What is the use of searching for it anymore? Let us release it. Let it go. Since we do not seek the past, we should not harbor hopes and dreams for the future. The future never arrives exactly as we dream it will, leading to disappointment, and disappointment is suffering. Because the law of cause and effect governs every minute and every second in the time and space of all phenomena, a person's dreams depend entirely on their own karma. Consequently, dreams are never perfectly accurate or attainable. A person who clearly understands the law of cause and effect never dreams of anything for the future. They only focus on resolving everything happening in the present, not afflicting themselves, not afflicting others, and not afflicting all living beings. Then, without dreaming of the future, good things will naturally come to them. Buddhism uses the present moment as the milestone for practice, not remembering the past and not worrying about the future. So, what do we practice in the present moment? As taught in the verse, instead with insight let him see each presently arisen state. These are 2 types of concentration that the Buddha taught. Beginners must diligently practice so the mind does not remember the past and does not dream of the future. Instead, with insight, let him see, refers to the concentration of right mindfulness and clear comprehension. The method to practice this concentration is observing the body in the body, practicing on the external behavioral marks, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. This means when the body walks, know the body walks. When the body stands, know the body stands. When the body sits, know the body sits. When the body wears robes and carries the alms bowl, know the body wears robes and carries the alms bowl. Whatever the body does, know the body is doing it. The mind constantly pays attention to and follows the active movements of the body, not losing mindfulness of what is being done. Losing mindfulness of what is being done is losing awareness. Losing awareness means losing clear comprehension. Losing clear comprehension is delusion, and delusion is also called forgetting. Therefore, practicing but allowing mindfulness to be lost is wrong practice. Such practice yields no results, and practicing for a lifetime brings no benefit. When mindfulness is lost, 3 other states intrude. 1. Forgetting the mindfulness of the body's actions, intruded upon by wandering thoughts and worldly ponderings, being affected by wandering thoughts. 2. Forgetting the mindfulness of the body's actions, a blank state, acting out of habit, not remembering, or being forgetful. 3. Forgetting mindfulness means forgetting the method of wise attention. Forgetting the method of wise attention causes the conscious mind to sink, allowing the imaginary mind to become active. When the imaginary mind is active, one falls into illusionary meditation. For the concentration of right mindfulness and clear comprehension, a beginner must use the directing method to guide the mind toward awakeness. Without using the directing method, the mind easily falls into wandering thoughts and blank states. The difficulty lies in the fact that, without an experienced person to guide the practice, it is very hard to maintain an awake state for a long period. "Let him know that and be sure of it" refers to the concentration without outflows, Anusrava concentration. This concentration without outflows is executed by observing the body in the body, practicing on the causal marks, the four foundations of mindfulness, to overcome greed and distress, which means abandoning desires and evil phenomena. There are 3 ways to practice this concentration. 1. Sit in the lotus position with a straight back. Place the mindfulness of the body in front. Observe, deeply ponder, and thoroughly understand the theory of dependent origination, the theory of dependent arising, the theory of impermanence, suffering, non-self, and egolessness, the theory of impurity, ugliness, filth, stench, defilement, and so on. After finishing observing the body, sit and place the mindfulness of feelings, mind, and phenomena in front, and observe them in the same way. 2. Sit in the lotus position with a straight back. Place the mindfulness of the body in front. Observe and deeply ponder about cause and effect, about the gathering of the 4 great elements, and the 12 links of dependent origination. After finishing observing and pondering the body, place the mindfulness of feelings, mind, and phenomena, and observe them in the same way. 3. While practicing the concentration of right mindfulness and clear comprehension, if another thought suddenly intrudes, we should take that thought, place it in front, observe, ponder, and immediately practice the concentration without outflows to completely discard that thought, so it no longer comes and goes. We must not casually drop it, because casually dropping that thought will cause it to arise again, leading the mind to lose mindfulness. The 2 types of concentration, right mindfulness and clear comprehension, and the concentration without outflows, will support each other. When we know how to combine them, they will help us destroy the ego, release the mind, and abandon desires and evil phenomena. Thanks to this, the mind remains unmoving before all objects. Therefore, the verse has the line, "Invincibly, unshakably." If a person diligently practices like this, the mind becomes completely pure like a clod of earth, no longer having afflictions, suffering, anger, love, or hate. Understanding and clearly knowing the benefits of these 2 types of concentration, we need to diligently practice more, not wasting time. The resulting outcome brings liberation to our mind. Life becomes joyful, peaceful, and eventless. There is not a single object or circumstance that can disturb the mind. What else in this world could be happier and more joyful than that? Venerable monks and Buddhists, once you have received these 2 priceless, precious meditation methods, there is nothing in this world more precious or comparable to them. Knowing they are pricelessly precious, the Buddha advised us. Today the effort must be made, relentlessly, by day, by night. This is sincere advice from the Buddha. Knowing that these 2 types of concentration will liberate the human mind from the river of delusion and the sea of suffering, a monk must see how immense their value and benefits are. When thoroughly understanding the value of these 2 meditation methods, do not let your precious golden time pass by in vain. Even a single minute cannot be found again. You must make an effort to diligently practice with a sincere and passionate mind, advancing day and night without knowing what fatigue is. With passion, diligence, advancement, without laziness, and without wasting a single moment, the result will be rapid liberation. Just one night of practice will turn one into a holy sage. Who has had a single excellent night? With just one night of practice without losing mindfulness, our soul will become silent, speaking little, with a mind free from restlessness and commotion, happily living in solitary seclusion. Through this verse, venerable monks and Buddhists have recognized the experiences in these two precious meditation methods to practice concretely, and the results will be fully satisfying. Lay Buddhist followers as well as ordained monks can easily practice these two meditation methods without the fear of meditation gone wrong, demonic possession, nervous breakdowns, or acting like a medium channeling spirits. The results of these two meditation methods are rapid, immediate, and require no waiting. If anyone is passionate about the practice path of Buddhism and is guided to practice these two methods, it is like a drowning person catching a life preserver, or a dying patient finding a miraculous medicine. Only those with good affinity who have planted seeds in the true Dhamma of Buddhism will encounter these two holy methods. Therefore, they must make an effort to diligently practice day and night without fatigue to save themselves from the sea of suffering, to repay the grace of the Buddha, the grace of their parents for giving birth and raising them, and the grace of the lay donors. Only by doing so are they worthy of the title of disciples of the Buddha, holy monks, holy lay followers, and true practitioners living a wonderfully silent life. Birth is destroyed. The holy life is fulfilled. In the Sutra on Dependent Origination, the Buddha taught, "A newcomer to the practice must train to completely sever the condition of birth." The Sutra on Dependent Origination has 12 conditions like an iron chain. When this condition exists, that condition exists. When this condition is destroyed, that condition is destroyed. This sutra begins with the condition of ignorance as follows. 1. Because of ignorance, one does not clearly understand worldly phenomena and mistakenly clings to them as truly existing. Therefore, one acts by chasing after the mind of desire, giving rise to evil phenomena and creating so much karma of suffering. Thus, the sutra teaches, ignorance conditions volitional formations. 2. Acting according to the desire for sensual pleasures and chasing after craving gives rise to consciousness. So the sutra teaches, volitional formations condition consciousness. 3. Consciousness combines with the ovum and sperm to give rise to name and form. So the sutra calls it, consciousness conditions name and form. 4. Name and form are the body and mind of a human being, gradually developing fully, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, body, and intellect. Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, body, and intellect contact the 6 external sense objects, so the sutra teaches, name and form condition the 6 sense bases. 5. The 6 sense bases mean the 6 internal bases and the 6 external objects. The 6 internal bases include eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and intellect. The 6 external objects include form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental phenomena. The 6 external objects contact the 6 internal bases, so the sutra teaches, the 6 sense bases condition contact. 6. Contact creates smooth, warm, sweet, pleasing, and joyful touches. So the sutra teaches, contact conditions feeling. 7. Feeling gives rise to sensations of enjoyment, affection, anger, love, and hate. So the sutra teaches, feeling conditions craving. 8. Craving is loving, feeling affection for, and liking people, animals, material goods, and houses. From that, we begin to have existence. So the sutra teaches, craving conditions existence. 9. Existence is having this object or that object, such as the body of the 4 great elements, the body of the 5 aggregates, houses, wealth, properties, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and relatives. Once we have them, we keep and protect them. So the sutra teaches, existence conditions clinging. 10. Clinging is holding back. Thanks to keeping and protecting wealth, properties, and relatives, there is birth. So the sutra teaches, clinging conditions birth. 11. Birth must be fully stated as attachments for living. Birth means wealth, properties, material goods, careers, fathers, mothers, spouses, children, brothers, sisters, relatives, friends, and so on, as mentioned above. Therefore, when properties and wealth are lost, sorrow, sickness, and death arise. When parents, spouses, and children die, sorrow, suffering, and distress also arise. So the sutra teaches, birth conditions sorrow, lamentation, suffering, sickness, and death. 12. Sorrow, lamentation, suffering, sickness, and death are the final condition of these 12 links, combining to form the suffering world of human life. After observing the 12 links of dependent origination, we see, when this exists, that exists. When this is destroyed, that is destroyed. As mentioned above, these 12 links combining form the suffering world of human beings. When these 12 links dissolve, the world is free from suffering and perishes. To escape suffering, these 12 links must be dissolved. So, how do they dissolve? And which condition is dissolved first? The developed scriptures of Mahayana and Eastern Zen aim at the condition of ignorance, which must be destroyed first by true knowledge. True knowledge means wisdom. To develop true knowledge or wisdom, Mahayana and Eastern Zen practitioners use the practice method of suppressing wholesome thoughts and unwholesome thoughts. They consider a mind without wholesome or unwholesome thoughts to be concentration, and from a concentrated mind, wisdom arises. Having no wholesome or unwholesome thoughts, the original face appears. The original face appearing is the Buddha nature, and the Buddha nature is the nature of awakening, which means wisdom. By using such practice methods to develop wisdom, they are mistaken, not realizing that this practice path actually opens up illusionary wisdom. When illusionary wisdom is opened, the reasoning of Mahayana practitioners transcends imagination. So no other religion can argue and win against them, especially the Prajna reasoning of Mahayana. Because of the Prajna reasoning that transcends imagination, it has also destroyed the original, authentic Buddhism, claiming there is no suffering, origin, cessation, or path. Authentic original Buddhism has no such reasoning to argue for victory or defeat, nor does it have such reasoning that transcends imagination. It only directly teaches that human life is suffering, the causes giving rise to suffering, the state of the mind completely free from suffering, and the 8 practice methods to destroy the causes of suffering. These practice methods are concrete, so that everyone can practice them and equally achieve the liberation from all suffering. Therefore, the original scriptures aim at the condition of birth to completely sever it. When it is severed, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, sickness, and death are also severed. So the sutras often repeat, Birth is destroyed, the holy life is fulfilled. If a practitioner is determined to seek the path of liberation from this laborious worldly life, they must let go exactly like the Buddha and the holy monks. No wearing makeup to beautify oneself, abandoning all wealth and properties, and putting down parents, brothers, sisters, spouses, and children, as taught in the lesson Transcending. That is breaking all the iron chains that are binding everyone very tightly. Only true practitioners can see cause and effect, so they boldly cut off everything cleanly to transcend the worldly life. This cutting off and transcending is not something anyone can do. Although it is very easy to say, it is very difficult to do. Ordinary people cannot do it. The sutras teach very simply, birth is destroyed, the holy life is fulfilled. Or, when the condition of birth is severed, sickness, death, suffering, sorrow, and lamentation are severed. These terms sound easy, but facing wealth, properties, jewels, gems, as well as parents, brothers, sisters, spouses, and children, to let go or completely sever them is not an easy task at all. If one does not completely sever them, one cannot fulfill the liberation path of Buddhism. Why is that? Because Buddhism is called the path of liberation. If one cannot break those invisible iron chains binding them, how can it be called liberation? Currently, people practicing Buddhism do not want to abandon the worldly life, yet they want to add the religious life. They grasp everything with both hands. Because of this, their practice life is neither a true worldly life nor a true religious life. Currently, you monks and lay followers achieve nothing in your practice, simply because you practice in a way that is neither truly worldly nor truly religious. It is a massive waste of a lifetime of practice. Practicing forever, you only use Buddhism to seek fame and profit for your worldly life. Practicing according to Buddhism, a practitioner must completely sever attachments for living. Only by severing attachments for living can the mind be liberated from suffering. Only when the mind is liberated from suffering can the mind possess purity. Only when the mind possesses purity can the mind enter Zen concentration. Only when the mind enters Zen concentration can the mind master life and death. A person who does not completely sever attachments for living can never abandon desires and evil phenomena or enter the four holy jhanas. Because they cannot abandon desires and evil phenomena and cannot enter the four holy jhanas, they have no other method to practice to master life and death and end the cycle of rebirth. The path to the Buddha land is not difficult, but it is difficult for those who do not want to abandon the life of sensual pleasures and the affectionate emotional bonds of the world. The practice method of Buddhism has nothing mysterious or colossal. One only needs to clearly understand that the worldly life involves immense suffering and suffering for countless lifetimes, while the transcendent life means destroying suffering and ending suffering. There is only this one life left. One life of purely practicing according to Buddhism will completely put an end to suffering. The four holy jhanas. If you want to practice the Zen concentration of Buddhism, you should follow this summary and practice step by step to achieve your desired results. The four holy jhanas. 1. The first jhana. 1. Ceasing speech. 2. Living correctly according to moral conduct. 3. Using the Patimokkha rules to guard the 6 sense bases. 4. practicing the concentration of right mindfulness and clear comprehension. 5. Practicing the concentration without outflows, destroying the ego, releasing the mind, sweeping away the 5 hindrances, and severing the 7 fetters, which means abandoning desires and evil phenomena. 6. Having few desires and being content. 2. The second jhana. 1. Practicing the concentration of mindfulness of breathing. 2. Concentration of destroying applied thought and keeping sustained thought. 3. Concentration of destroying applied thought and destroying sustained thought. 4. Directing the mind to cease applied and sustained thought. 5. Ceasing applied and sustained thought. 3. The third jhana. 1. Practicing the concentration of mindfulness of breathing with wise attention. 2. Relying on the breath to direct the mind, abandoning the first 6 types of illusionary joy: form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental phenomena. Abandoning joy and dwelling in equanimity. 3. Staying awake during sleep to abandon dreaming imagination. 4. Using the directing method to abandon 18 types of illusionary joy. 4. The fourth jhana. 1. Relying on the concentration of mindfulness of breathing with wise attention. 2. Directing the mind to cease sound. 3. Directing the mind to cease the feelings. 4. Directing the mind to cease the breath. 5. Directing the mind to cease bodily formations and the breath. 6. Ceasing bodily formations and the breath. 7. Relying on the concentration of mindfulness of breathing with wise attention. The above is the theoretical part of the 4 jhanas. As for the practical part, to enter the 4 holy jhanas, one must learn and practice with a foundation from low to high. Buddhism is the humanistic ethics of cause and effect of mankind. It is the truth of humanity. Therefore, humans do not have 2 or 3 truths, but only one. Because it is the truth, it must have a study and practice curriculum, just like an educational curriculum in the secular world. We all know that the study and practice curriculum of Buddhism is divided into 8 classes called the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path includes the following: 1. Right View Class. 2. Right Intention Class. 3. Right Speech Class. 4. Right Action Class. 5. Right Livelihood Class. 6. Right Effort Class. 7. Right Mindfulness Class. 8. Right Concentration Class. Within the 8 study and practice classes, the Noble Eightfold Path, there are 3 levels: moral discipline, concentration, wisdom. Therefore, to enter the 4 holy jhanas, one must study from class 1 to class 8. If one starts right from the 4 holy jhanas and practices according to the theory above, there must be a person who has completed the practice to guide them. Only then can they enter. Without a guide, it is merely playing at practice, and one will never enter. Dear friends, the 4 holy jhanas are not a difficult meditation to practice as you imagine. The Buddha once taught, with a concentrated, malleable, and wieldy mind, entering the 4 jhanas is without difficulty, without fatigue. According to our personal experience, moral discipline must be strict. For moral discipline to be strict, one must practice the 4 right efforts and the 4 foundations of mindfulness. In the 4 right efforts, The methods that need to be practiced are the concentration of mindfulness of breathing, the concentration without outflows, the concentration of awakeness, and the concentration of right mindfulness and clear comprehension. In the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the method that needs to be practiced is the 4 foundations of mindfulness, practiced upon the 4 foundations of mindfulness, which is the method of mindfulness of the body. The method of mindfulness of the body is the final method of the right mindfulness class. The result of this method is the sequential appearance of the 7 factors of enlightenment. When the final factor of enlightenment appears, we have completed the 4 bases of power. When the 4 bases of power are attained, entering the 4 holy jhanas is without difficulty, without fatigue, and without wasting effort. If we practice like that, we will certainly master birth, aging, sickness, and death, and end the cycle of rebirth in a way that is without difficulty and without fatigue. However, you should remember the Buddha's teaching in the Akankhya Sutta. To enter the 4 holy jhanas and realize the threefold knowledge, one must live strictly according to moral discipline, not violating even a minor fault. Then the 4 holy jhanas and the threefold knowledge will be realized without difficulty and without fatigue. According to the Buddha's teaching above, do not worry that you cannot enter the 4 holy jhanas and the threefold knowledge. The only concern is that you do not live correctly according to moral discipline. If you live correctly according to moral discipline, there is absolutely no difficulty, my friends. Persevere and move forward, my friends. The path of liberation is waiting for you ahead.